hole in the wall. Found it. So this is actually the second dive of the day that we did. It was hole in the wall cave. We accessed it via a pontoon boat that we rented at Cave Adventures. They told us that the visibility was really great on the day that we went, and the camera really doesn't do it justice. The particulates that you see in the backscatter wasn't super visible with just our eye, but the camera really picked it up with the flashlights that we had. So it was a beautiful cave. I didn't get a lot of video on this particular dive, but the water was maybe a little bit milky. Still really great visibility, especially compared to what we're used to out in Missouri. So I'll just let this roll for a little bit, and you can experience a little bit of hole in the wall, and then we'll switch over to Twin Caves. We didn't make it too far back in, maybe about 700-800 feet or so. So switching over here to Twin Caves, this was the first dive we did. I'm kind of going in order here of visibility for the video's sake. But as you can see, it's quite a bit clearer for us. This is what they call the subway tunnel, I believe. We're probably back maybe 700-800 feet or so. That's our guide there. He's getting in front of us because we're coming up on the T-junction before the first pit, and that was going to be our turn point. We're currently intro certified, so we're on 6s for gas and no navigation. So since there's a T-junction at the first pit, we wouldn't be able to go any further than that on the main line. This cave was clearer visually for us, not just for the camera, but it was definitely clearer to the eye as well. The subway tunnel, as you can see, it's pretty good size. Not nearly as much particulate in the water. On the day we were there, they were telling us that the pond, they'd raised the level of the pond a little bit, which was helping to improve visibility and reducing the flow. So here we are coming up on the first pit. So we're just gonna kind of come up here and have a look at it, and then we'll turn around and make our way back out to the exit. Really looking forward to going back after we finish our full cave and maybe going a little deeper down in the crevice here. So here we are coming back out of Twin Caves. We're just hanging out in the cavern, little cavern here for our safety stop. I thought this was a really cool shot. I kind of hung back a little bit so I could get some video of the light streaming in from outside. Yeah, I just thought this was a really pretty exit. Down here at Jackson Blue, just got done diving at Hole in the Wall and Twin Caves off the pontoon boat, and now we came down to finish the day off at Jackson Blue. It's just right over there. Go jump in the water. So here we are now at Jackson Blue. This one you can access just by driving up to it. You don't need a boat to get to Jackson Blue. This is like a little swimming area that a lot of people use. What you can see there is the entrance to the cave. So we didn't have a guide with us, so we were just getting ourselves acquainted with the area, and we've heard stories of the amazing flow that's at Jackson Blue, but as you can see, it's not too terrible the day we were here. It's a little bit coming out of there, pushing the grass back, but we really didn't have much flow to speak of at all. It was a great first experience for sure. But yeah, we're just going to duck under the sledge here and tie off our primary line, and then we're going to kind of swim around a little bit looking for the main line, the cave entrance. But here in a second we'll duck under, and you can kind of get a shot of what it looks like as you descend into the cavern. It's a pretty good sized cavern zone. They do a lot of training here. It's fairly forgiving bottom, pretty high ceilings as well. So as you can see, there's a lot more people going in and out. There was a couple folks on scooters that afternoon when we were there. So here we are, just getting tied off, our primary tie off. We've got a bunch of these cinder blocks and some concrete, some places to tie a line off to. So it's really convenient, especially for training. You don't have to kind of dig around and look for a rock that's suitable. And there's usually a ton of lines going in as well. I think we were probably putting in the third line. Most people were tying off on the right hand side, which we'll figure out later on. That's the easier way to get into the cave. But the main cave sign is basically straight ahead, kind of where I'm looking at here, a little bit off to the right. We go in and we kind of go to the left, just kind of exploring the cavern a little bit. So here we are, just kind of heading in, and we'll do a secondary as you're supposed to. So I went ahead and jumped ahead on here a little bit. We're going through the first breakdown area. getting acquainted with the cave. This was, I'd say, this was our first dive in Jackson Blue. This was actually both of ours first day diving Florida caves. We did our initial training in Missouri and have been diving a couple of caves here local to us for almost a year. And I've been down to Mexico a few times, but this was our first time down in Florida caves. So different experience. It was good. Get the different perspectives on cave. I would say the flow was. We've always heard that Florida caves have a ton of flow. I would say it was maybe a little bit less than what we're used to sometimes here in Missouri, but they did say that it was pretty low the day we were there. So I'm not going to complain. You can see it was moving there a little bit. Stuff going through the water. As the weekend went on, we found the right lines to take to give us a little bit more space to get through here. Got in and out a little quicker and easier as the weekend went on. But I think this is what we're coming up on is called the chimney. The depth that we're at, 45 feet, I believe, and then we'll descend down to 80, 90 feet for a little ways until you reach what they call the second breakdown. But yeah, this is us going down into the chimney area. If you've been to Jackson Blue a bunch, you're not going to really see anything in this video that you probably haven't seen before. But if this is never been and just want to kind of get an idea what it's like, this was our first experience as well. Luckily, there wasn't too much traffic when we were there. There were a couple classes going on. We only had to wait one time here at the chimney for a team coming out. They got through pretty quick. There was a cavern class going on, so they weren't quite back this far. Cavern intro to cave class. So we only saw them in really the first part of the cave, first 100 feet or so, once. Oh, this was a dive. My buddy's light failed. His primary light. We charged it up the night before, but it didn't last more than a few minutes. So I actually had two primary lights with me. I just switched over to a canister light, and I happened to have my big blue still with me. So rather than abort the dive, I just gave him my backup primary light, and so we could continue on. As with any cave dive, you're always required to have 3 lights. I just happened to have 4 with me that weekend. Just because new equipment, you never know. But I had no issues with the canister light that I just got So we were able to finish off the weekend with him just using my old primary. It's a big blue. It's still a great primary light. I just wanted to switch to a canister to get a little bit of that weight off my arm. Yeah, I believe this is descending down into the chimney now. It's about a 40-foot depth change. We've got a similar spot like this in Ruby Dew here in Missouri, where you kind of go down a slope from about similar depth, 40 feet, but that one goes down to 140 before you hit the bottom. The bottom here, I believe, is at like 75, 80 feet. And then I think the max depth we hit this whole weekend was about 90, 95 feet. There's a little bit of particulates on the bottom, a little bit of sand on the bottom here, so you do need to be mindful of your buoyancy, not crashing to the bottom. When the flow's up, I'm guessing it's not a super big deal, but still want to be safe. So now it's kind of flattened out. The flow picks up quite a bit in this spot, so we're trying to figure out what the best way of making it through this section was. There's a little rock there you can kind of grab a hold of and kind of give yourself an assist. But once you get through maybe 5 or 10 feet or so, it opens back up and you get some more space above you, so you don't have to be so close to the ground. So you can see there I'm pretty close to the bottom, but you can see that money ahead of me has already kind of moved up a little bit. So it's just that little narrow duck under to get through. Nothing complicated. Just a fun spot to work on technique. I believe now we're around 85 feet, if I remember correctly. And this goes on for a ways. There's another spot up here called the second breakdown. We just made it to that once or twice, closer towards the end of the weekend, and then it kind of slopes back up a little bit. But we didn't go much further than that. I think we made it maybe about 800-900 feet back into the cave. Plenty of cave here at Jackson Blue to explore, so there's no reason to force penetration. A huge cave, lots of things to look at. There's a little jump here. You can see the double arrows there in the middle of the screen. Obviously, with us being Intro to Cave certified with TDI, we don't do jumps. So that will be something for another trip. So you can see the bottom there is a little mixture of some hard rock and some loose stuff. I noticed a few times, we kicked up a spot or two just a little bit, and it settles back down fairly quick, so it's not that super fine talcum powder substance that just hangs in the water. Rock's pretty abrasive. Obviously you don't want to grab it too much. Definitely don't want to be bumping up against it. We've got a lot of here in Missouri. Our caves the rock's fairly smooth. wasn't used to the sharpness and the abrasiveness of the cave systems here. So here we're getting, I think this is what people refer to as the second breakdown. The line kind of goes up a little bit and then ascends a little bit and keep going. And then I believe just on the other side of this is what they call chicken head rock. We saw a picture of it, but we never did, we didn't make it quite back that far. But like I say, it's not a cave you need to go in and go for distance. There is an absolute ton to see. I mean, we did 5 or 6 dives over the weekend just in Jackson Blue, and so I saw new stuff, every time. There's quite a bit there. The last day we messed around in the cavern zone. We had a lot of extra air left over, so we got to explore the cavern zone quite a bit. Even as if you're just a cavern diver, there's quite a bit to do just in the cavern zone. Hole in a wall in Twin didn't have a huge cavern zone, so it probably isn't worth it if you're just a cavern diver to go to those. But definitely go check out Jackson Blue. So it is closed. The park is closed in the winter, I believe. But scuba divers, cave divers can get in all year round. If you go to Cave Adventures, just down the road, maybe half a mile, you check in, sign a sheet, give them your name, phone number. They give you a gate code so that you can get into the park, and you can park and walk your stuff down. If you're side mount or doubles, you may want to take a cart with you. The parking lot, it's not terribly far, but I took a little hand cart with me just to carry my side mount tanks closer to the water. We've got some nice picnic tables too, and a shelter you can lay your stuff out on and get organized before heading down. It's probably one of the nicest setups I've ever seen for a dive site. I mean, even compared to some of the training areas we go to. It's a nice sandy bottom in the pool area that you can get geared up on and get your tanks and everything strapped to you before you have to take off. So we just reached our 6s, and now we're just turning the dive. So we're just kind of going with the flow. The exit happens quite a bit quicker than when we swim in, which is all you have to do is steer to get out. You can kind of see we're just going with the particulates in the water column. This is just basically the exit out. We had a great time. Definitely highly recommend getting down to Jackson Blue and renting the pontoon from Cave Adventures and checking out some of the great caves on the mill pond. We'll definitely be back. There's a lifetime of cave to explore in this area. Beautiful water, warm year round. Like I mentioned in the previous clip, the pool area is really nice. So here's a shot of the sandy bottom and the stairs that you can use to gear up on. So here we are back on our exit. You can kind of see that I'm just trying to steer, getting out of there, going with the flow. So this is us in the cavern zone, doing our safety stop. Just wanted you to be able to see what it looked like looking outside. So you can see a little more of the concrete blocks that's in there and some more of the rubble. A few fish like to hang out in there. You can see them over to the right. The cavern zone goes in back quite a bit further. We're just right here, around 20 feet or so. Having a great time. I believe this was our last dive. So we cleaned up the line already. It's 72 degrees and sunshiny. Close to the end of February. It's a great weekend. So we're at Jackson Blue. I did a couple days of diving here on the mill pond. Right here in front of us is the Jackson Blue Spring. It's kind of a county park around here. Closed generally during the summer except for divers. You check in at Cave Adventures and they give you a gate code, 20 bucks a day, $10 any consecutive days. But it's a pretty nice little setup here. Some nice stairs, nice sandy bottom, so you can get all geared up. People usually have their tanks here. Get geared up there, and the spring is right there. Beautiful spring. And then this is the mill pond. There's a couple of caves out here we did. There's one there. There's a couple more. I think there's one over here. There's one down here. We did a hole in a wall and twin caves. Did those yesterday. Beautiful caves. And then today we just been diving here at Jackson Blue. Crystal clear water. Can't ask for anything better. 72 degrees in Florida. It's a wonderful weekend. There's some people coming up now. That's it. Jackson Blue.